Hey everyone, we're going to be taking this political compass test today. I'll leave a link in the description as well as the pinned comment if you want to take it alongside with me. And with that, let's start. You will be presented with a series of statements. For each one, click the button with your opinion on it. Okay, let's proceed unshuffled so you can follow along if you want. Freedom of business is the best practical way a society can prosper. I generally agree with that. Letting people engage in mutually beneficial transactions seems like a good idea to me. Charity is a better way of helping those in need than social welfare. Well, it depends on what you mean by better, but just in terms of helping the most people, social welfare is far more effective than charities. Charities simply do not have the resources to address certain issues. Without social programs like healthcare and assistance with childcare and disability, we'd be in a lot of hurt as a society. So I think I'm going to go with disagree here. Wages are always fair as employers know best what a worker's labor is worth. I don't think wages are always fair. Sure, an employer might think that a wage is fair with respect to the market and the demand and supply of labor and all that, but I think there's more to it than just economics. For example, a sweatshop worker in Bangladesh might get paid less than $1 a day. They're paid as little as 3 cents an hour, working easily over 100 hours a week, in terrible conditions of poor air quality and extreme heat. So, it's fair in terms of the market, but I don't think it's fair in the way that most people use the word fair. So I'm going to disagree. It is human nature to be greedy. I would say yes. We want to do well for ourselves. So I would say agree. Maybe I'll even strongly agree. Exploitation is an outdated term, as the struggles of 1800s capitalism don't exist anymore. Okay, dude. Well, just because exploitation was worse in the past doesn't mean it doesn't exist anymore. Disagree. Communism is an ideal that can never work in practice. So I understand communism to be this idea of a moneyless, borderless, classless, egalitarian society in which some communal entity provides for the needs of its citizens. It distributes jobs and other resources. I just don't know how you would even begin to implement such a project, especially in a democratic way. So for now, I think I'm going to agree with this statement, but I'm open to having my mind changed. Agree. Taxation of the wealthy is a bad idea. Society would be better off without it. Okay, this is utterly insane. The wealthy are the biggest source of tax revenue. You need that money to fund social services like law enforcement, healthcare, the legal system. A society requires a functioning government. So I'll strongly disagree with this one. The harder you work, the more you progress up the social ladder. I'm not 100% sure on this one. I think your pre-existing talents are more relevant than just working hard. No matter how hard you work, if you're terrible at what you do, you're probably not going to move very high up. I think it's more about fostering skills that you show promise in and have the potential to get pretty good at, and I think that's more relevant to progress up the social ladder, not just working hard. So I'm kind of in between neutral and disagree here, but I'll go with disagree for now. Organizations and corporations cannot be trusted and need to be regulated by the government. This is absolutely true. Corporations want to make as much money as possible, and this incentive is often in a zero-sum contest with their ethical responsibilities with respect to other people and the environment. So I'll strongly agree with this one. A government that provides for everyone is an inherently good idea. A government should provide certain social services like police, fire departments, education, healthcare. But I hope this question doesn't mean providing everything like disposable income or like a free house or a free car or something. So, I agree that they should provide certain things, but not everything. I think I'll go with agree here because I agree with the general sentiment. The current welfare system should be expanded to further combat inequality. So I live in Canada and we have a pretty robust welfare system, in my view at least. So I don't quite know. With respect to the US, in my opinion, the welfare system leaves much to be desired. but I think I'll go neutral overall on this one. Land should not be a commodity to be bought and sold. Strongly disagree. I believe in the private ownership of property, and that includes land. All industry and the bank should be nationalized. Whoa, okay. All industry? I don't know about that one, dude. I don't know about all industry. I will strongly disagree on that one. Class is the primary division of society. I don't know if it's the primary division, so I'll go with disagree on this one. Economic inequality is too high in the world. Probably agree with that. I'd probably agree with that. Sometimes it is right that the government may spy on its citizens to combat extremists and terrorists. There may be some edge cases where maybe there is an argument here, but generally in the vast majority of cases, I would say no, disagree. Authority figures, if morally correct, are a good thing for society. Yes, absolutely, I agree with this. Strength is necessary for any government to succeed. Strength can be a good thing, so I'll agree. Only the government can fairly and effectively regulate organizations. I guess I'll agree with this one. Society requires structure and bureaucracy in order to function. Seems legit to me. Mandatory IDs should be used to ensure public safety. What, like to carry on you at all times? And you'll get fined if you don't carry it around with you? I'm not sure what else this could mean, because we already have various government IDs. We already have IDs. I'm not too sure about this one. I guess I'll go neutral. In times of crisis, safety becomes more important than civil liberties. Well, it depends on the crisis. If it's something like a worldwide pandemic that is continuing to plague our society because transmission is allowing for more and more variants to occur, there's a case to be made for limiting certain liberties like social gatherings or travel to other countries, but some other civil liberties, like our right to privacy or right to a fair trial or freedom of speech, these things shouldn't be violated, I don't think. So overall, I'd agree, but it really depends on the nature of the crisis and the liberties at stake. If you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. I don't really agree with this sentiment. I'm going to disagree. The government should be less involved in the day-to-day life of its citizens. Wow, another pretty topical question yet again. Honestly, I'm not too sure. Part of me wants to agree with respect to the whole lockdown. I mean, here in Canada, we've been locked down for nearly 2 years at this point. But then again, I wonder how much of that is actually the government versus the natural response of businesses and schools to heed the advice of the health experts. So I'll go unsure on this one. Without democracy, a society is nothing. I think I kind of disagree with that. Obviously, I would much rather live in a democratic society like Canada or the United States or, much of Europe, as opposed to, China or North Korea or something. But I wouldn't characterize a non-democratic society as nothing. Nothing is just a really strong word here. And I want to emphasize here, I am not saying that I support authoritarian regimes or I would much rather live in a democracy, but nothing is a pretty strong word here. So I would lightly push back on that, so disagree. Jury nullification should be legal. Jury nullification should be legal. If I'm not mistaken, jury nullification refers to when a jury finds the accused to be guilty of the crime, but they decide that, the person isn't deserving of any punishment, so they shouldn't be charged with anything. This is a tricky one because it's possible for law to be written in a bad way, and there could be some really outdated laws. We go to great lengths to make sure the jury is as impartial as possible, and we want to ensure a fair trial. So if a jury really finds the defendant to be guilty of a crime and yet undeserving of punishment, then I think that should be allowed. I'll agree to this one, I think. The smaller the government, the freer the people. Not necessarily. We want a competent government that can provide basic services. So I don't really agree with that characterizations. Disagree. The government should at most provide emergency services and law enforcement. These are probably the most important services to provide, but I don't think that... I think governments can and should do other things, as well as education and basic social safety net. So I'm going to disagree with this one. The police were not created to protect the people, but to uphold the status quo by force. This seems like a very, very narrow way of thinking. So, I'm not really on board with this kind of sentiment, so I'm going to disagree. State schools are a bad idea because our state shouldn't be influencing our children. Okay, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Well, to be fair, I do have a little bit of a bias when it comes to public schooling because I feel that my teachers were far better role models and influences to me than basically anyone at home. But I think that public education is among our society's greatest virtues. I think it's good for children, so I'm going to strongly disagree with this one. Two consenting individuals should be able to do whatever they want with each other, even if it makes me uncomfortable. Strongly agree. It is no business of mine. But wait, two consenting individuals, meaning they both aren't necessarily adults, and what if one is in a position of power over the other? I'm guessing that's not what the question had in mind, so I'll go with my gut instinct with strongly agree, but there are some caveats here. An individual's body is their own property, and they should be able to do anything they desire to it. I don't know about this one. If someone is not in the right mental state, they presumably shouldn't be free to jump off a cliff or endanger themselves somehow. I don't think your body is a mere possession like your house or your car. I don't know. I'm gonna go with the neutral on this one. A person should be able to worship whomever or whatever they want. Yes, I'm a firm believer in the freedom of religion, strongly agree, although I'm personally not religious. Nudism is perfectly natural. What now? I don't know what they mean by natural, like if walking down the street butt naked should be acceptable or something. I don't know what is being asked here exactly. I'm gonna go unsure on this one. Animals deserve certain universal rights. Yes, absolutely. Animals should be free from being killed, sexually abused, trafficked. I think in the future we're going to be looking back at our treatment of animals, especially the absolute horrors of the meat industry, similarly to how we look at slavery. So I'm going to strongly agree on this one. Gender is a social construct, not a natural state of affairs. I guess just definitionally, gender is defined to be different from biological sex in that it's socially constructed. So this is more a question of if you accept the definition or not. And I don't have any reason not to, really, so I'll go with agree. Laws based on cultural values rather than ethical ones aren't justice. There are cultures all over the world, some more calibrated towards things like individual rights and other things that we might care about. So cultural values in general could be pretty hit or miss. So I would say that laws based on a universal ethic rather than arbitrary cultural values is better. So strongly agree. Autonomy of body extends even to minors, the mentally ill, and serious criminals. Complete bodily autonomy, I would say no. Minors shouldn't be able to go wherever they want without their parents' permission. The mentally ill could pose a danger to themselves and others. The serious criminals could victimize more people, so I would disagree on this one. Homosexuality is against my values. Strongly disagree. I don't have any religious superstitions that would compel me to think this way. Transgender individuals should not be able to adopt children. Assuming they're not bad individuals and they are in a financially stable position, any couple should be able to adopt children regardless of their gender or sexual orientation. So I'm going to disagree with this one. Drugs are harmful and should be banned. Many drugs can be very harmful, but I don't really believe in the prohibition of drugs. It just creates a black market where gangs and organized crime can thrive and massively profit. Just as a fact, as of 2021, the Taliban produces over 90% of the world's heroin. And you can imagine, the funds they garner are not used for the most ethical purposes. And on the other side, drug addiction should be treated as a medical issue, not a criminal one. Drug addicts deserve compassion and help, not punishment. So for those reasons, I'm going to strongly disagree. The death penalty should exist for certain crimes. I personally do not believe in the death penalty. It gives the government a lot of power and it can be abused. I think the prospect of executing an innocent person based off of a faulty verdict seems way too big a price to pay. If there were 10 people on death row, but one of them was guaranteed to be innocent, I'd rather them all be let off the hook than see the innocent die. So I'm going to go with strongly disagree. Victimless crimes should still be punished. Okay, victimless crimes. So that would include things like public intoxication and like getting a ticket, like a traffic violation. I think that should be disincentivized. You'd get like fines and stuff. So I guess you should be punished in a way. I don't think they should land you in jail. They're in a category of their own. So I would lightly agree that they should still be punished, but they should be treated way differently than crimes with victims. One cannot be moral without religion. Strongly disagree. I don't think I need to even clarify on this one. Parents should hold absolute power over their children as they are older and more experienced. Absolute power? No. I think children, they should have a certain level of privacy and freedom when they get to a certain age, so I'll disagree. Multiculturalism is bad. No, not necessarily. So I'll disagree. Okay, did you complete this test in a serious or at least unironic manner? Sure. Let's help them out with their ideology assignment. How would you classify yourself as? I guess I would probably be libertarian left or centrist. I don't know though. I haven't taken one of these in a while, so let's go with libertarian left here. How would you classify yourself as? Let's go centrist, I guess. How do you view yourself on culture? I'm probably progressive, either that or leaning progressive. I'm definitely not a conservative. I'll just go with regular then, regular progressive. How do you view yourself on economics? Probably leaning left if I had to guess. How do you view yourself on authority? Not too sure, honestly. Probably leaning libertarian. What label would you give to your ideology? I don't know, man. I don't know about labels. I usually vote liberal here in Canada, so I guess I'll just say liberal. What is your gender? Male. How old are you? 13 to 9? What, 12-year-olds can't take this test? Okay, well, I am 21. Which religion do you adhere to? I'm personally fine with atheist or agnostic, so I guess I'll go with agnostic. Which country do you live in? Canada. Do you focus on the sciences / STEM or humanities? I'm in computer science myself, so sciences. What best describes your status? I'm an unemployed student, but I do have a job interview literally next week, so wish me best of luck in the comments. What is your highest level of education? Well, I'm literally going to have my bachelor's in like 3 months, so I think the most appropriate answer would be bachelor's degree here. What kind of environment do you live in? I guess bigger city. How physically active are you? Man, what are these questions? I guess I'm active. I do some light workouts here and there, but I wouldn't say I'm super active, so I'll go with blue here. Okay, wow, this is actually a little surprising. So I'm not a left libertarian as I would have suspected. I'm in the authoritarian left quadrant apparently. Who would have thought? I'm here with Hassan. Okay, but realistically though, I'm pretty much in the center when it comes to the left-right axis, but I'm more authoritarian than libertarian, which seems a little interesting. On this progressive conservative axis though, I seem to be leaning quite progressive, which makes sense to me. But yeah, that threw me for a loop, honestly. I would have thought I was far more libertarian than authoritarian. I wonder which responses sort of prompted that evaluation. Well, this has been an enlightening experience. I encourage you to take the test yourself and let me know where you landed and where you might disagree with my positions. But otherwise, thank you for watching. Till next time.